Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dream Diesel giveaway number 22. Ghost, aka this S467 second gen swapped ARP 625 head studded, fully decked out under the engine bay, pumping all of its power through a stage 2 Muldoon's trans, grounded by 24x14 gloss black concave Nemesis SS8s, and the last of the holy grail 4th gen ever to be produced in 2018 before they switched over to 19 is Dream Diesel giveaway number 22, and it comes with $30,000 cash. Now, if you're catching this announcement for the first time and or you're watching this video on the 11th of January, 10 times entries are live for a chance to take that truck and that $30,000 home. It's a complete pack to change your 2022, but they're only live as the max entry multiplier through January 18th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, guys, you have no idea how excited I am to finally be making this video and to debut what is an absolute legend of a truck. Today, we're going to go into the complete story of how this truck came to fruition and why we kept it a secret from y'all for like the last month. It was a really hard secret to keep, but it was 100% worthwhile, and I've been so excited about making this very video right now because Ghost is a younger brother to 8-Ball. Now, I guess you can argue the relatability because they were actually born into different households, but they were essentially raised by the same family, and that was the Enthusiast family. All of the players that helped to contribute to that truck right there have helped to contribute to this truck right here. And it is a rare instance that we will buy a truck that's already done, and then we give you a chance to take it home, because truthfully, Enthusiast is all about that excitement of ideation to reality and watching all of those steps materialize through the build process of doing more of what drives you. But this truck right here was essentially built at the influence of this channel, but not by me, by my dear friend Andy. Andy became a really good friend when that truck was completely stock, and then it essentially became what it was today, but not by us, by Andy and his good taste and being surrounded by none other than the awesome people here in Lancaster County. Now, to my OGs that have been with us for a while, A, thank you very much for your support, but B, you can think back to Dream Diesel giveaway number 13, which, as a refresher, was Silver Bullet. Kind of a similar statute of build to this truck right here behind us, except in a Chevy DURTYMAX. It was a Worley Custom Fab compound turbo LML, lowered down on some 24x14s. Very similar styling, except different manufacturer, that I essentially watched get built by my good friend Kevin from Florida. He did an absolutely standout job on that truck, and when it came time to sell, he approached me on my interest. I couldn't pass it up because it was almost as if it was built as an extension of the way that we prioritize quality in all of our builds here on the channel and through the brand. This truck plays no exception to that rule, and when it came up for sale, it was almost like it was meant to be, and I couldn't say no, and I had to give one of you a chance to take it home because I know it is a truly one-of-a-kind build. But then the story evolves and it gets deeper than that. So Ghost and 8-Ball are somewhat almost related. It's just that 8-Ball is essentially Ghost's great-great-great-great-grandfather in a 5.9 form, but that truck right there to give Andy the influence and the decisions that he made to build this truck right here. So 8-Ball was essentially a great influence on the Ghost build, and all of it kind of begins right here with the foundation. We're talking white Ram Cummins. Then it goes a step further. For all of the paint match work, it was done through Peach Bottom Auto Body, aside from the fact that this is a fully loaded Laramie with the sport package from the factory, which we'll get into here in a little bit. You're not going to want to miss that because those things are super rare in and of themselves. All the tint and paint correction was done by Brody at Accelerate Auto, who has done all the work on this truck as well. And then we get into the fact that we did the Laramie sport front end conversion on 8-Ball, and this truck has that from the factory. Suspension setups are very similar. The 4th gen is actually set up the same way that the 3rd gen is. Paint matching schemes are tied between one and other. And then colorways and performance modifications are tied out between one and another. Okay, so you guys are seeing why I could not pass up on this truck, because it's essentially 8-Ball's younger brother, and you have a chance to take home an extension of an absolute internet legend, which is that truck right there. It's just this one is a lot newer and has a lot more comfort benefits, and honestly sounds a little bit better. Okay, I didn't just say that. The 6.7 with a single turbo and the 5.9 with compound turbos definitely make different notes, and maybe we'll fire these things up later next to one another. But needless to say, when you're standing next to this one in person, you're gonna be smiling so hard, it will hurt. So now you guys understand why I couldn't pass this up and I had to make an exception, because that truck right there is the baby brother to 8-Ball, and because it was built with the exact same network with no exceptions that we use to build all of our trucks all the way down to all the parts included. And now that the secret's out and you guys understand why I couldn't pass it up, let's talk a little bit about what the truck is, and then we'll go into all of the mods. You guys are not gonna wanna skip a single beat of this video because there's a lot of stuff that we need to cover, and I want you to know everything what could be your new rig. So to begin, this is the last of the Holy Grail 4th generation Ram Cummins. It's a 3500 Laramie Sport. So Laramie Sport, what does that mean? If you don't know, it's essentially factory paint matched. Yes, paint matched from the factory with exception. We'll get into those things here in a second. But the grill comes paint matched, the Ram letters come paint matched. It comes with this beautiful 4th gen grill. This is my favorite 4th gen front end to exist if I was ever to actually build one myself again outside of Blackjack, which was Dream Diesel giveaway number 8. It was this grill that I was going to put on it. I love the design features of it. These big eyelets make the front end look oh so sinister and menacing. And then we get into the clean, streamlined design of the 4th gen. The 5th gen, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love, but I'm not weighing them against one another because they hold a specific special place in my heart and in our hearts as the enthusiast community, because when done right, they are just so clean. So with that, it also comes paint match bumpers, paint match front sensors. We've got paint match fender flares, paint match door handles from the factory, and rear paint matched bumpers from the factory. And then you also get into all of the black badging around the truck, the 4x4 badge, the Ram 3500 heavy duty badge, and of course the Cummins turbo diesel badging as well. Now on the inside, the truck has all the gizmos and gadgets as well as the brand new tags that were even on the truck. Yes, the previous owner Andy took meticulous care of this thing. It spent all of its time getting detailed at Accelerate Auto, and genuinely it was taken care of better than my standard of quality. It's got black leather on the inside with the infotainment screen, heated and cooled seats. It's got the Alpine sound system, heated steering wheel, and even has the complement stitching on the interior. It is a super, super solid rig. Now, if you weren't aware, being that this is a 3500, it does have leaf springs in the rear, and it's got a fully Line-X bedliner with all LED exterior lighting. All right, so now you guys know what the foundation of the truck is. Let's get into the juicy part, the mods. Let's start with the exterior. So we went over what was factory paint matched. Now let's talk about what Peach Bottom Auto paint matched. Subtle things that went a long way. They did the front license plate bracket, bottom valance all sanded smooth and paint to match. The home of the Enthusiast bullet antenna, which is the antenna perch itself. And then the mirrors all sanded, paint match smooth, and then ceramic coated by Brody at Accelerate Auto. Now I know it's been a minute since we've gone through all the list of mods with 8-Ball, so I'm just gonna refresh your memory as we go because the tie out and similarities of these trucks is just mind-blowing. Let's go to suspension, wheels, and tires on Ghost. So Ghost is actually reverse leveled, Fox shocks with reservoirs, and 24x14 concave gloss black American Force Nemesis with a 305/35 24 Nitto 420V. When we come over to 8-Ball, it's also reverse leveled, running a set of 22x12 concave gloss black Nemesis with milled accents with a set of 305/35 22 Nitto 420Vs. Now these wheels and tires weren't actually originally on the truck, but we had these sitting up in our inventory for a while, and we were waiting for the perfect project to put them on. Unbeknownst to us, we were gonna end up with this truck. That's that truck's younger brother. We had to go with the gloss black Nemesis. They look absolutely sick, and the reverse level nature of this truck, I know stretch tires aren't for everybody, but this one, it just screamed that they were 100% essential. We did a full fresh powder coat on these things and they turned out absolutely killer. I can't wait for you to see them in person because there's absolutely no orange peel in this powder coat because we work with a local guy that just doesn't accept that. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, the 4th gens are a little notorious for having some steering issues, but not this 4th gen. It's all been corrected. So up underneath here, kind of a little bit hard to see, but it's got the Fox ATS steering stabilizer, as well as the Synergy drag link and track bar, and the BD steering box stabilizer, and that really tightens everything up. If you've ever driven a 4th gen, they tend to feel a little bit loose and they'll actually pull to the left. But this one, that problem's no more. So up along the side here, you're gonna see a whole bunch of red powder coat and throughout the entire build. Everything on this truck is Illusion Cherry by Whirly Custom Fab. 8-Ball and this truck share the exact same traction bars by Whirly Fab. And then just touching on a few of the other similarities between the builds, you'll notice Ghost has a Whirly Custom Fab diff cover. Same one as 8 balls. Now I know you guys are absolutely dying to know about the turbo setup on this thing. We're gonna get there in just a minute, so don't exit this video quite yet. We just have to finish up the exterior. So on the outside, this truck has Morimoto 5th gen style headlights. These are dual projector, low beam, high beam, with daytime running lights that also act as turn signals. We left them fully blacked out because this whole build takes on a ghost or a stormtrooper theme, and honestly, we didn't want to touch it because it was perfect. And then to complement those Morimoto headlights, we've also got Morimoto fog lights, which are also projector style LEDs, man. These things work great and they just look absolutely killer. Now, as we were going through and combing through this entire build to make sure that we were perfectly content with it, we missed one little thing, and that's that it doesn't have Boost Auto Parts mirror switchback lights. But don't worry, they're en route. They're gonna be here in a few days, so they'll be on there soon. And then on the back side here, we've got blackout recon taillights, red OLED, and they look absolutely killer. They're super clean, and I love the fact that they were blackout because they match the headlights perfectly. Plus, all the little red accents around this truck tie out to all that powder coat up under the hood. Now, when we adopted this truck, I would say that it was about 95% complete, but the wheel and tire setup that was on it really wasn't what we were looking for, which is why we added the Nemesises, and then we took it a step further and did what we have to do on every build, which is give that UFO status. We ended up adding 18 rock lights to the entire truck. There's 2 in each wheel well, 2 up front, 2 in the back, and 3 along the side. So that way at night, when you flip that switch on, man, I'll tell you what, it lights up. All right, guys, we got to add a little bit of light to the situation because we can't have you miss out on the glorious nature of this Illusion Cherry. All right, Jake, cue the lights. Video not sponsored by Milwaukee, but Milwaukee, good looks on that light. All right, guys, so up under the hood on this thing is a full Whirly Custom Fab S467.7 2nd gen swap setup. So what that means, S467.7 is the compressor housing size of this S400 series turbo. It's a top mounted setup, so you see the beauty of that turbo chilling right here versus sometimes you'll see on the 6.7s like they are from the factory, turbo is actually mounted under the manifold. And then a lot of people tend to get a little bit caught up on 2nd gen swaps. No, this is not the motor out of a 2nd gen. It's a 6.7 liter Cummins that came in this 2018 6.7. It's just that it has a 2nd gen manifold, meaning the steed speed manifold has balanced flow and the turbo mounts right in the middle versus the factory turbo placement is actually in the back of the manifold, which creates inefficiencies with heat distribution, and it also changes the sound, which will start this thing up in a little bit. It sounds absolutely incredible. So the turbo setup from Whirly Fab includes the intake filter, the intake horn, the turbo setup, the upper radiator hose, which is powder coated to match. Very, very nice with the Billet Whirly Fab badge on it. And then we've got the coolant expansion tank in the back. Now, Andy didn't just stop there. He took it a step further. He threw on a powder coat to match D&J Precision billet valve cover. And under this valve cover are ARP 625 head studs. On the Dodges, they adapt to this S467 really, really well, but the head studs tend to be kind of a limiting factor or a weak point. Not on this truck though. That's completely covered with the ARPs. Never gonna have any issues. And then as far as an intake ram, they've got the notorious Banks Monster Ram on here, also all fully powder coated to match. And to complement all that, all the charge piping on the hot and the cold side are all powder coated to match as well. It's just they're kind of tucked up in and underneath. The truck also has a Fleece coolant bypass, so what that does is it allows the coolant to distribute in the front and the back of the engine, so that way there aren't any specific heat spot locations with cooling, so it creates a nice even distribution. It's a pretty common mod for anything inline 6. This truck and that truck share those both in common. So a lot of people have been asking about the power that this truck makes. I would estimate it's probably right around 625 to 650. It is on completely stock fuel. We decided not to upgrade anything because truthfully, this setup right here is the perfect match of reliability and drivability. You're gonna get the function, you're gonna get the form, you're gonna get the performance. It's just an awesome setup that I can't wait for you to try yourself. But that doesn't mean that when the truck's yours, you can't just add some 30 or 60 overs and a 10 mil pump and make just shy of 800 horsepower or more. So the ARP 625s fixed the weak point in the motor, but then the 68 RFE and the Dodges are pretty notorious for handling like no power at all. But this truck, you're not gonna have to worry about that. It's got a fully built stage 2 Muldoon's transmission. This thing can handle the amount of power that this truck makes all day, and the shifts are so crisp. All right, boys and girls, jumping up inside of your 2018 Laramie, you're gonna notice one thing real quick here on the windows, 5% as per usual. There's your tinted versus non-tinted. We actually had to roll the windows down just a smidge to give you guys some better lighting. Otherwise, it's like you would be listening to a voice in the dark. We've also got 45% tint on the windshield. That way, privacy is the ultimate factor. You are gonna get a ton of looks in this thing, and ultimately, you can be looking back at people and they'll never know. And then as far as other interior mods, pretty simple, but very functionally oriented. We've got 2 ISS Pros here mounted up on the A-pillar. We've got your boost right top dead in center, essentially at eye level, so when you look over, you can see all those lovely PSIs that you're making. Right under that is your pyrometer. That is for your EGTs. And then down below, your customizable Edge CTS3. You can configure that thing however it is that you want to monitor whatever it is that you want. So other than that, guys, this thing's fully jet blacked on the inside. You've got your Uconnect through your Alpine premium sound system. And what I love about these 4th gens is they just feel so cozy and comfortable. They're actually a little bit smaller on the inside compared to the new DURTYMAXs or the new Power Strokes. And I like that a lot. It seems like Dodge is kind of sticking with that because they really didn't change much going into their 5th gen models. It was more exterior changes, but the interiors feel exactly the same. Right over here to the right of your right leg, you've got your rock light switch, which is very conveniently mounted, and then we've got your shift on the fly CSP5 switch right next to that. All right, so being that we have 2 absolutely sick turbo setups on 2 iconic platforms, 6.7 and 5.9, I say we do a side-by-side exhaust comparison because we can. Remote start on the 2018 Laramie, AKA Ghost. That was the most painful pleasure of going deaf that I've ever experienced in my entire life. What? And now for comparative purpose, being that we've got a 5.9 compound turbo legend of 8-ball making 1113 horsepower, but what you'll notice is the S467.7 on the 6.7 is actually a little bit louder because the atmospheric S480 on this truck with the S467.7 on the manifold actually acts as somewhat of a muffler.
Those shifts are incredible, dude.
This thing is so much fun to drive. up Ghost. It's an absolute beast and it could be yours along with $30,000 in cash. And if you're catching this video between the 11th and the 18th, the max entry multiplier of 10 times entries is live for your chance to take the package home. So what were you waiting for? Tap that link below and get out.